just sauteed some onion, garlic, sweet pepper, and now we're going to add
You know, the fat you eat is the fat you wear, but oil is actually very toxic.
3, 2, 1. Hello, good morning. I'm happy to be here today. I'm at Kerwin's Kitchen today. And we are from the H.M.E.C International School. With me is Ingred Espinet and Don James. And we have two able young men with us. We have Kerwin and we have his friend, Reclam. So today we are going to do a demonstration with food. But before we go on, I would like to let you know that God has given us lovely things in His Word. He says in Genesis 1:29, "Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed to you shall be for meat." And on this table we have carrots, we have limes, we have tomatoes. I mean, these things are lovely. God has given us so many things. And we are going to use these food that God has given us to make some dishes for you. Have you ever eaten lentil bread? Well, we're going to make lentil bread this morning.
Yes.
And before we go on, there are some things we need to mix: fruits and vegetables. And all things that have seeds, we use them together. Those without seeds, use them together. That's one thing we need to know, because fruits digest faster than vegetables, and it causes fermentation in the stomach, and that's where we get acid reflux, bloating, flatulence. It works. Once we do what God says, we'll be okay.
So today we are going to demonstrate a recipe that many people will find helpful, because some people folks who have problems with candida, which is an overabundance or an explosion of a fungus. And so anytime they eat sugar, people who have cancer, that kind of stuff, are having problems, so they can't eat bread, they have having problems with eating fruit or anything that's sweet, even God's sweet. People who have candida infections can't or don't do very well with those things. So we found a very lovely recipe using red lentils, and it's a surprising, amazing recipe. We're going to get started right away. Now, the measurements are actually done on a kitchen scale, but many of us do not have kitchen scales, so we're going to just go ahead and give you this recipe calls for 200 grams of red lentils, and we want to wash them very well and soak them overnight. Now, 200 grams of red lentils is roughly about 1 cup of red lentils. Okay, so for this recipe, you will also need a blender. You don't need to have a super high-powered blender, but we are blessed that we have a Vitamix. But by no means do you need to have a super high-powered blender. So what we're going to do, to your 200 grams of your 1 cup of soaked lentils, when it's soaked, it becomes 2 cups. You're going to add 120 grams of water, which works out to be about a half cup of water. Good water. You're going to pour it in. I actually did pour some in beforehand, so that's why it didn't look like I was pouring a whole lot. And we are going to blend. Okay, that looks very lovely and smooth. You can see it's very smooth, and your regular blender, you may have to bend it a little longer if you have a regular blender, but this will work. So we're going to place our blended red lentils in a bowl. Now the rest of our recipe calls for 16 grams of psyllium husk powder. Psyllium husk is a very powerful and effective fiber supplement, and that works out to be about 1 tablespoon and 1 slightly rounded teaspoon. Will give you a level tablespoon plus a slightly rounded teaspoon will give you about 16 grams. And this one doesn't have to be too precise, because you really can't go too wrong if you put a little bit more.
So where do you get that?
You can actually, this is something that people would sell as a fiber supplement.
Well, they are flavored ones.
Yeah, so you don't want flavor ones. This is and you can get this in the health food store.
Health food store.
A lot of times, when you are in the pharmacy, I've seen them just selling the plain. It's called psyllium. Spelled with a P. Psyllium, and it must be powdered. Okay. All right. So we are going to also add to our psyllium. We're going to add a half teaspoon of salt and 1 heaping teaspoon of baking powder. Now let's give me a word about baking powder. Not all baking powder is created equal, and by and large, it's not something that we want to use on a regular basis. But the baking powder that you use should not have aluminum in it. Many of the baking powders on the shelf do. So there's a brand like Mumford. I use a brand called Featherweight. It's very expensive. It's not easy to, if you can find it here, but so we're going to put that in, our baking powder and our salt. The recipe also calls for 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. Now, oil is also something that we want to avoid or limit very severely from our diet, because oil, the fat you eat is the fat you wear, but oil is actually very toxic. So the oil that we are using here is coconut oil, or if you want to use, you can use an extra virgin cold pressed olive oil. But we don't want to use the other kinds of oil, soybean or corn oil, because that is going to add some trans fats and undesirable elements. Okay, so we're going to put in our oil. This is 2 tablespoons. And this recipe does need the oil simply because it's not flour, and just needs to be able to get otherwise it can be very dry. We are also going to add 2 tablespoons of chia seeds and 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds. Now right now we're using the brown sesame seeds, but you can also use the white sesame seeds. So now what this does, chia, if you remember what chia is very, very high in protein, but chia is also very powerful as a gelling agent, because there's no gluten in this. What is going to hold it together? The chia is going to act like eggs to hold it together, and the sesame seeds adds additional protein and nutrient value to it. Now, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to be stirring. Now, the more you stir, the more viscous this batter is going to become. So we're going to be doing a bit of stirring, and you want to really give it a stir. It's going to start to come together. And if there are times I've actually made this and it seemed like you just wanted to stay a little bit more liquid, and if that is, you just use a little bit more of your psyllium or more of the chia. So the more you stir, this is actually getting to be a little work. Now, if you have the benefit of having a kitchen assistant like there is here at Kurban's Kitchen, he actually offered to use it, and I would have, because I would have loved to have taken him up on the offer. I would love to see what it comes out like when you have that kind of. So now I got to put some elbow grease. But you want to do this. You want to get this as firm as possible, because you're going to be handling this. This may seem a little boring, but believe me, you need to do this step. That's actually.
Properly.
Yes. And it's, as I said, this is going to bring your bread together. The firmer it is, then the firmer your baked product is going to be as well.
I see it coming in there now.
Yes, coming in. This is good for a man, I'm telling you. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to let this is going to need to rest. It's going to need to rest for 30 minutes. I always forgot that part. So we're going to let it rest, and we're going to go to another recipe while we wait for this to come together.
Okay. We are back. We are making scrambled tofu. Tofu is made from soybeans, You can make your own tofu, but today we are using non-GMO soybean specific tofu. Now before we make the scrambled tofu, scrambled tofu can work as eggs, for those who like eggs. But before we do that, we have to take the tofu out of the pack and we wrap it in paper towel.
Or you can use a clean kitchen towel.
And you press this tofu. Right? You press it, it's a heavy something, you press it. So the tofu is pressed and we will scramble, we will mash this tofu in a bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we can also put it on a cutting board and slice. Can you pass the cutting board for me? So there are a number of ways that we can process this. Thank you. We have our trusty ceramic knife. So you can show some different ways. You can slice very, very thinly. And when you cook that, that's almost like what happens when you scramble eggs. Or you can just break them up in pieces.
Right.
Of course, the breaking up in pieces part, that's easy. You want to do that while I cut?
Yeah.
So this takes a little bit more time if you really want to be a little more kind of like genuine looking.
Right. So this is how it looks. Brethren, look how it looks. Right. So we're not using any oil. So what we're going to do, we have our pot on the fire or skillet, and we're going to add to that pot, we're going to add some onions.
Now, by the way, there's nothing in the pot. There's no oil, there's no water. You're putting it directly in the pot just by itself. We're adding, those are chopped peppers, sweet peppers, bell peppers. And you're adding a bit of garlic as well. Now, not everybody likes the garlic, so we like the garlic. We look for every excuse to use garlic.
So garlic is antibiotic.
Antioxidant, anti-cancer, anti-blood sugar, and good stuff.
So we can use some coconut milk in this now.
Now we convenience to use this brand. We are not agents of this company, Tara.
Add some turmeric and some salt.
That actually smells really good. Yeah.
Oh, that smells good. If you also only smell this food, wow. If you all can only smell this food.
We may actually need a little bit more of this.
Alright, and you could add this tofu now and some salt.
You want to add salt first? God bless Hannah.
Okay.
And you can take a visual of this. This is Kala Namak. It's actually a volcanic salt that is from India. And so when it has a smell. It smells like real eggs.
Like eggs. Yes.
So you get that from the sulfur?
Yes, the sulfur will give you that thing.
We add a little more coconut milk.
And a little bit more turmeric because our eggs are still looking like they are whites rather than yolks. We need more to add. And we can also, by the way, we can also add
Some paprika.
and we can also add, because genuine egg scrambled eggs are a little runny, this is where you can add some cashew milk or some more of your coconut milk. So you can add some milk.
So you could add some cashew milk, you could add some soy milk, organic soy milk. That
yes,
is.
and it will be unsweetened. You don't want to put any vanilla. How much are we putting?
What's that spoon?
Add a
Put
whole
it, yeah, of salt.
Now, Kala Namak, or black salt, is very salty. So you really want to start to go a little bit. And these are found at specialty stores, at an Indian store, for example. Or you order this online, didn't you, from Spice Star? I like this.
Yes. I got it from a friend called Ingred. Do you know her? Oh, wow.
I don't even remember the days. You want to taste?
It has enough salt.
Let's see. We're going to get ourselves a spoon and we can.
Now, how does this look?
We have our tasters. Haven't tasted it yet, so.
Alright, let me try it. I'll try it.
Only we just show them tasting it. Only we just show them tasting it. Need some sauce or some pepper or whatever it is.
It's good. I think a little salt, but the flavors there.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you. You can hold on to it.
So next we want to do
Flavors. Yeah, they're there.
So we had nothing there. We had no oil. We had nothing that we have our sweet peppers and so on.
Definitely need some also.
Very good.
And we're back, and I am Ingred and Dawn.
Yes.
And we are doing some recipes that can make your life a little brighter and give you some ideas in terms of how to be eating God's way. Today, this morning, we're going to be making some cashew milk. Now, you can use any other nuts because it's not really milk. Milk really is that comes out of the breast of some animal. This is a plant-based milk substitute that tastes very good and is very nutritious. Now, cashews are interesting nuts. They are softer and they make very creamy sauces and that kind of stuff. So, but the thing is that there are some people, the cashews also can be very dirty. So you have to wash them very well. And for these cashews, we soak them ahead of time. You can, if you want, you can speed up the soaking time by putting them in very hot water or even boiling them for about 10 minutes. And that's what we did with this. What we have here, we put half cup of soaked cashews to 2 cups of water. Now the ratio is 1 to 4. 1 part of cashews to 4 parts of water. So a quarter cup to 1 cup, half cup to 2 cups. And I'm going to add just a pinch of salt by using some sea salt. Now, not all salt is created equal. This is a brand of salt called Celtic sea salt, and it is a naturally occurring sea salt. The ratio of sodium and chloride is different from that of table salt. And salt like this, and even your pink Himalayan salt, but particularly like the Celtic salt, can actually cause your blood pressure to go down. This kind of salt is very essential for your heart, for the electricity of your heart to be able to function. So we do need a small amount of sodium, and a little bit goes a long way. So we're using just a pinch of the sea salt. And there's a principle that I call sweetening with salt. So very often for dishes that you want to do, if you add just a little bit of salt, just a pinch, it brings out the flavor and you have to add less of a sweetener. Now the cashews are naturally sweet, so we never really need to use very much sweetener at all. But I'm just going to add just a tiny bit, maybe just a teaspoon or so, just for sake. And we will taste as we go along. We are also going to add to our cashew milk carob powder. This carob powder looks a lot like cocoa, but cocoa is not good for food. Cocoa is actually made for some other animals. It's food for them that they can eat, but it's not really great for us. Cocoa contains theobromine, which is like a half sister of caffeine, and it also contains caffeine. And it has many other substances called tannins that can actually cause you to have constipation. It really is. Chocolate is not really very good food. Chocolate contributes to fibrocystic breast disease and a whole bunch of interesting things. So what we use here is carob powder, and it comes from a part of a tree, and it's roasted. You can get raw, and depending on how, you can get a light roast or a dark roast or even a roast. And it is very, very rich in a substance called HMEC, which is a powerful antioxidant that's the reason why people count green tea as being so good for people who have cancer and stuff like that. But carob powder is also very, very rich in HMEC without the problem with tea, with the caffeine. So I would recommend that you use carob powder rather than green tea. Get a very, very, because it's very, very high in HMEC. So first of all, before I put the
Yeah, before you go on, is that being not the St. John the Baptist?
this is supposed to be St. John's bread.
St. John's.
Yes. It's also very high in protein.
Locust meat.
It's locust meat. It's locust meat.
Yes, you put in the real locust.
Yes. And by the way, the real locusts are actually edible. But that's another thing. Yes.
Because I didn't think it.
Well, many people, we eat eggs, and many people have a lot of problems. They think when we eat eggs, we find despicable. So we are going to use our trusty little NutriBullet. It's an amazing process. I saw my honey is up here, but that's alright, we'll fix that. We're going to make some note. That looks like it. What do you think? It needs some more, okay? Why are we doing it? Let's get some of that. Recipe honey. This looks like. Now, the nice thing about cashews is that it blends so finely, it doesn't have to be strained. Other nuts, if you're making nut milk, almond makes very nice nut milk, but you have to strain it. You need a nut milk bag, which you can make using your brown cotton or your muslin. You can make a Brazil nut milk, which is absolutely delicious if you like Brazil nuts. Walnuts make milk, but it's not so tasty. Hazelnut milk, very expensive, but quite good. So we are now going to add this much. By the way, this is also tea. So I'm going to start off by adding a tablespoon. This is a half tablespoon. Let's just start with that first. I don't want to overpower it. Let's just add a little bit. This is a half tablespoon. This is a half a tablespoon. Let's see how. This is not a hard and fast right. This is a nice drink that you can use. Let's see what happens. Many people say that because they have hypertension, that if they use the salt, they will get high blood pressure. But no. Right now, I'm at the end of the salt. Right now, this salt also with this medicine. People who have asthma and stuff like that, just a pinch of the salt on your tongue, and followed by a glass or two of water. That was not a lot of vented. It's just that this is I'm at the last straw, and I'm going to add a little bit more caramel. I like a strong flavor. And we're going to definitely need the honey. God bless the honey.
I asked the question because people say, why is it salt? How so sweet? So I asked the question.
So, but because many times when you just add a sweetener, you get a taste and it's sweet, but it's like an empty taste. The salt adds, it literally adds some tones. Some color. Yes, it literally brings out the flavor. And it brings out the flavor. This is a lovely machine. Let's see if I can try it. Let's see if I dare offer it before. Still needs just a little bit, but you want to taste and see.
Yes, I want to taste and see if it's
it needs a little bit more salt. It really didn't get. This a recipe like this is the 1 cup.
I can handle it like this.
Okay, you want? Fine.
I can handle it like this.
For me, I would need just a little bit more, and it's just again, it's just adding a note of color. And by the way, I didn't even use a pinch. This what I used here is not even as much as it's not even an eighth of a teaspoon or so.
This tastes really good.
Ready? I don't want to be salting it too much. I don't want to salt it now. But we'll find a when you think it has enough. I think it will just a tad. One more time. And that should
We have to put some more carrot.
You want some more carrot?
It can look like that. Okay.
By the way, this also freezes very well. You can add a thickener like some chia.
dessert. A chia pudding.
Or you can add, if you add your bananas, and you can put this in the freezer and make ice cream.
Make your own ice cream.
And the cashews are very, very rich and very creamy. So it's a
But do we use cashews to do anything else besides drinks?
Oh, I use cashews in sauces. You want to try it again? See if it. So much better. Yeah. And you guys will use this. Yeah, do you have?
Yeah.
This is really good. You don't need much.
I wish you guys can taste this. But
yes, but we are going to be enjoying for you, and you can take our word for it. It's good. I'm going to pour some out for our camera crew. See if they dare.
yeah.
Would you like to try it?
Me? Oh no, that's okay.
We have a very shy cameraman. Would you like to try some?
Yeah, I'll try it.
Very good. Tell me when. This was lovely.
No, it's actually really good.
Yeah. But you could put chia in that and leave it and get a nice pudding.
And when you actually, you can add just a little bit more honey.
I didn't expect that.
It's good.
You don't need to use chocolate. 3, 2, 1.
And we're back with the bread 30 minutes later because we set our timer for 30 minutes. Remember what we did? We stirred together the red lentils puree with salt, with psyllium husk powder, with chia seeds, and with sesame seeds. And we put them all together and with a bit of oil, 2 tablespoons of oil. The oil is necessary because, as I said, it needs to be able to hold the fabric of this together. And we kept on stirring and stirring, and the longer we stirred, the more firm it got. So now here we are after 30 minutes of it resting, and it has even firmed up a little bit more, you can see. So it's still a little sticky. So what I have done, I have put some oil on my hands so that I can handle this bread. And what I'm going to do literally is just pour it out onto my this baking paper. It's a silicone baking paper, so it's designed to not stick. But you don't need it. You can use your regular greaseproof paper, that will work, or just a lightly oiled pan will also work. But the reason why this works so well, I'm going to show you in a minute why this is such a trick. Now, even though it's a non-stick, I have lightly oiled this for the reason because this is very touchy. But I'm going to use this now to roll our bread out. Actually, let's do it this way, so I don't have to touch it. You can see how nice and easy that is. I can make my little tortilla kind of thing. Let nothing be wasted. I think it's a better way to roll it this way, then I wouldn't be working against myself. You see it's nice and smooth without my having to interfere too much with it. The middle is still a little bit too fat for me, so move it out. You don't want too thick a bread, simply because, again, this is not wheat. It doesn't contain gluten. So gluten is that protein whose strands hold bread together and make it also nice. So we are just going to I mean, not added. See, this doesn't have eggs, because eggs will also give you that nice texture. So the chia, thank you, the chia functions like that. Okay, what do you think? You want to make it a little, it could be, in my opinion, a little, but this is fine. Let's just leave it right like this for now. What do you think?
Yes.
Very good. And this is going to go into an oven. It's a hot oven, 400 degrees for 40 to 50 minutes. Now, depending on the heat of the oven, my oven is very hot, so at 35 minutes it was ready. But this can take up to 50 minutes to cook. So let's give it a try.
5-0?
5-0. So I set my timer to check it at 40 because it just might be ready. And you take a look and see. All right. I just remove all that excess paper so we don't have any burning. And you're gonna take him away. So we're gonna check him. Oh, one more thing we didn't do. I need to sprinkle some sesame seeds. We have some lovely sesame seeds and we have a nice mixture of, and I'm gonna use my hands. They're clean, I washed them. It gives it a very, very nice texture. And I can kind of rotate him a little bit so you can get to the side. This part is really nice. This one looks like it's going to be a little flat, but that's okay. We don't care. Flat is good, as long as it tastes good. All right. So there we go.
Oven time?
Oven time. And we'll check him at 40. We're going to set our timer.
So this was the bread that
So you slice it for them to see now.
So you're gonna wait. So you have to have your bread knife.
Put it on the table.
So let us see what our bread looks like after having spent 40 minutes in the oven. And see how nice and brown it gets, and I like the end. Ain't that pretty cool?
Yes.
So this is no flour?
No flour, just red lentils. And psyllium, which is good for your gut. Gives you some good bowel movements. Chia. And sesame seeds. Fantastic.
What does it taste?
Can't wait to try it.
Well, we're going to find out now. And it's, by the way, it's crunchy, yeah, but it's also soft.
Quick one, what do you think?
Is it real? Is this for real? Is this thing? Yep. So this made a difference for my patient who could not eat bread any longer and who couldn't eat rice, and she can't have any carbs at all, at least not for now.
At least they could still enjoy.
So we made this, and she has been making the bread.
Wow.
And it's good.
So we have to plate it.
Oh, yes.
Can't wait to show this to people, huh?
Yeah, but we like the ends.
And to put the ricotta with the...
Really quite amazing how simple food can taste so good. Let's give it a try.
Ooh, it's sliced. So what you making here?
We're making these marinated green bananas. And this is a fruit, sweet pepper is a fruit, and pimento is a fruit, so that going together with the bananas. All are fruits. You're not mixing fruit and vegetables. Fruit and fruit. So we can use this to plate.
And you have a bread knife?
Yeah.
To the green pig, which was boiled before and cubed. So we added sauteed sweet peppers and garlic and onion. And we add those things to this. And let me add in, you can add tomatoes with it too. Tomatoes and of course shadow benny.
So this is going back in the pot or?
No, it's not going back in the pot. We add some salt and we add in, now for this to taste really good, you have to stay a day for the flavors to develop.
To marinate?
Yeah, to marinate.
So do you put oil like to marinate it?
Right, so I'm using some lime juice, about 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And we have to put some, where the oil I have it? I have some oil. Thank you. Yeah, that is the oil.
So usually
It's one of the rare occasions that we use a little oil, not much.
Olive oil will be good?
Olive oil.
Remember, heating olive oil is a
So we're not heating the oil.
so you can add something else with it.
And then we could add some cayenne pepper to this. You could add some paprika. You could add some cumin, whatever you desire. Some oregano. And doesn't that look pretty?
Looks really nice.
Right, so we have our sweet peppers and all these are fruits. So if by tomorrow, please God, and you eat this, you'll have a better taste.
Because everything's soaked together.
Everything's soaked together, you get a nicer flavor. So we add a little salt now. A little salt there. But we don't want too much salt, a little salt.
Smell is out of this world.
So anybody want to taste it?
Ah, yes. I'm anxious to taste everything.
So, if you want some more, so we could add some cumin to it too. I get nata.
It's so good.
Speechless.
I wouldn't expect green fig, we say, green banana.
Bananas.
I think the lime gives it a
Yeah.
tangy.
And the lime is high in vitamin C also, so we have our, sweet peppers also high in vitamin C too.
So you could cook without animal products.
Of course. So we just
And
want to let you
green
know that
bananas, green figs are extremely
healthy for your
healthy
bowels.
for your body.
And it's better to use local because these foods here are local.
Yes, everything here is well local. You want to taste it?
Sure.
Yep, we have to taste it with the veggies.
Taste it.
Good.
So you could add a little cayenne pepper to it, you could add a little turmeric, whatever you want to add to it.
Imagine when it soaks overnight.
Wow,
That is
you get
it.
a bomb.
That is the one. I can
Right,
make.
so
I can't.
for your fine.
But hopefully I'll be taking some of this with me now.
Yes.
Okay, so today we're going to do cauliflower rice. And what we need for this is a food processor, but it's not necessary because if you don't have a food processor, a grater will work just as well. So here we're going to just pulse. Looks okay. What do you think? Or is it too grainy?
I'll do saute this now.
Okay.
Hot. So I'm going to put some onion and garlic.
Very nice.
We saute the onion and garlic. Hot. No water, no oil. I'm going to add some coconut milk. I'm going to add some coconut milk to it. A few minutes. A few seconds.
Heavenly. We really should use a wooden spoon with that pot. So that's okay.
Smell is heavenly. Right. Very fragrant coconut milk. And we're going to add our cauliflower to this.
So the pieces are still a little bit inside one time. But nothing be wasted.
You could add some shredded carrots, you know, and we could add a little turmeric to give it a little color, or maybe some grated beets, whatever you choose to do. You could add it to your rice. So we add some salt.
Mm-hmm. So we would not add peppers to this, would we?
No, because that's a fruit.
Yes. So that's why we wouldn't add okras to this either.
No.
That's also, we wouldn't add tomatoes.
We add in vegetables with vegetables.
Yes. So we wouldn't add pumpkin.
No. We could put beet, we could put carrots, broccoli, anything. Besides, only vegetables though.
Yeah.
No fruits.
So the definition of the fruit is that it has a seed,
Yes.
either inside or, like in the case of strawberries, seed may, or cashews, that seed may be on the outside.
Yes.
And there's the reason for that in terms of the digestion, the body is not very happy with making these kinds of combinations. It puts a lot of stress on your gut, which means it's going to have a lot of stress on your brain.
Yes.
What can I do for you?
Bread looks lovely. Bread looks lovely. So we'll add some salt to this. And you put a little pinch of turmeric, not much, just to give it a little color. Now if I had annatto, I would have put some annatto to this.
Yes. And I have
Some salt. And you'll realize we use a lot of coconut milk here.
and now salt in it.
Yeah, more that I might do it.
Just a tad.
We could add let us add some oregano to this.
Now remember, rice is generally a bland dish. So we don't want to over flavor our rice and get all
Right here.
Yeah.
fiesta, unless we want the rice to be the center of attention.
That's it. I smell it already. It smells good.
I never had cauliflower rice before.
Oh, you love it. But this one's a crunchy one. You could do it a little finer.
Mm-hmm.
You know? This will be a crunchy one. So that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Right.
Okay. So now we are going to make green banana cashew sauce. You could go on your bread, or even if you have to do a food wrap.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You do those stuff. So in here we have 2 ounces of cashews and 2 pecks of garlic. So we're going to pulse that. But before we do that, we have some pureed green bananas. Boil the bananas, and we just put it with some water in the food processor and make it a paste. Here is what we did already.
So this is the end product.
This is the end product. With this now, we're going to pulse this. This is our cashew milk. So we're going to add to this now. We're going to add some smoked paprika, 1/2 tablespoon. We're going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. Tomato paste, and we are going to add some roasted jeera, what we call cumin, a quarter teaspoon. It's a little touch. You don't want much. Some salt and some olive oil. 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And some salt. I'm going to add a half teaspoon of salt to this. And I'm going to put some bandana, or you call it Trinidad, or shadow belly, because it also gives it a nice flavor. And this is 1 cup of, almost a cup of green banana paste. So I'm going to add this in here. This is how it looks. Right, and if you want to use it, it could stay a month in the freezer.
Oh, really?
A whole month in the freezer, so you don't have to, you know.
So after the month,
yeah, you got to
discard it.
Discard it. No, pen up that now.
Ooh, that looks so lovely.
This is how it looks. So you can put it on our bread, you can put it on our, you could roast some carrots or beets and we can pour the sauce on it. Now who would have thought that green bananas could give us such a creamy sauce? So anybody want to
didn't
taste?
think about it.
Yes. Taste it. Then if it won't. Okay? You want to taste it?
Yes, it's so good.
Tastes good.
So if something
it's
is
good,
salty,
though.
we could use
Yeah, you get any flavors?
This would be good with the bread.
Alright,
not-
we
So
could add a
if
little
you
honey.
use it with
You can
some.
put some honey in it, so it kind of break down if it's
Actually,
too salty.
honey, a lot of times they use honey as a balancing act for
Alright, so if something is a little
But
too
no, I
salty,
love
you
that. So that one is perfect. This one is very good as well.
could, right,
But I like this.
so that's it, brethren. Here are some recipes that you can try when you're at home for you and your family and for your neighbors.
Yes. So this recipe for almond ricotta is one that I'm just going to describe. We're not going to actually go through it because this time we didn't, some pieces fell apart and we didn't connect in terms of getting it, but I made it to show you, and we were supposed to show you how it's done. It's very simple. Remember how we made our cashew milk? Simply this ricotta is made from 3 things: almonds, salt, and lemons or limes. Very simple. And how we do it is we make the almond milk. So we soak 2 cups of almonds overnight. So you can either weigh 280 grams or 2 cups of almonds. I tend to use hot water so that you can take the shells off. After overnight, even if you didn't use the hot water, the shells come up very easily. You just squeeze them between your fingers and the nuts just fly out. It's kind of fun to do it. Kids love to do it. So once you've gotten your almonds ready, you're going to add to a blender. It doesn't have to be a high-speed blender. A regular blender will work. But you know you're going to have to blend it very well. 5.5 cups of water to your soaked 2 cups of water. So all you have to do really, once you put your almonds in the blender, you want to bring the water up to the 7-cup mark. If your blender is not big enough, you may have to do it in 2 batches. But that works very well. So you're going to take your almond milk and you're going to need to strain it. If you have nut milk strainers, you can make your own. We have brown cotton. We have a fabric called muslin, which we used to use in time past. Very easy to do. So you kind of like squeeze. It feels like a bit of a soft cow that you squeeze and get it out. It's quite fun. I like to give the boys a chance to exercise their hands. So once your almond milk is ready, then you're going to transfer that to a pot, to which you will add 2.5 teaspoons of sea salt, preferably your Celtic salt or your Himalaya pink salt. You're going to stir very well. You're going to turn your heat on and keep on stirring that pot till it starts to bubble. As you're stirring, you will notice that it's getting thicker and thicker. and that's because of the water is coming out. So you don't want it to boil, but when it looks like it's thinking about boiling, you're going to turn off your heat, and then you are going to add all at once a quarter cup or 4 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice or lime juice. They both work well. I like the lime because we can get limes here, and sometimes we get lemons. When you add that part, when you add the lime or the lemon, you have to be very careful because you can't just go stirring. You got to gently move that, because what the lemon will be doing is literally creating a curd. So that's what we got. So we just very gently just stir it in and leave it alone. We don't touch it. We leave it to sit for at least 45 minutes. Sometimes I notice that with the almonds we get here in Trinidad, they don't give me the kind of yield like I get when I'm in the US. I'm not so sure why. But so it's a very fine kind of curd when we're doing it here. That's okay, it still tastes good. So once you have your lime and almond milk stuff has sat for a while and you can look and see it's congealing, you are going to need cheesecloth. What is cheesecloth? Cheesecloth is like, so we used to have this fabric, the Indian, there's an Indian kind of cotton made of it. It's a more loose weaved cotton. It's Indian cotton. That is very, very important, so that you will just drape your cheesecloth or your Indian cotton over a dish, over a can I show you what I use for mine? I have let me just show you what it looks like. This was the setup that I used to strain my curds. This is a strainer. It's kind of hard to find it, but a big strainer will work. Or even if you have a colander, this fabric, right now it needs to be washed, but I can show you. This is where it was. This is where my cheese was. You see the fabric of it, how it's a loose weave. You can kind of like see through it. So this is your cheesecloth, and it's a loose weave. But with this fine curd, you have to double it or even triple it. So I fold it quite a bit so that it doesn't, or so that the curds don't leak out. So I pour it in and let it strain, and you would see a lot of water comes out. You just throw it out because the water is just salty water. And I just gather everything up together like a package. The milk is on the inside. I gather it all up together and tie it and give it a little bit of a squeeze. Put it in the fridge overnight. I have to check several times because that whey would form underneath and it goes. So you just want to pour that off. So by next morning, we have ricotta. And the taste
is fabulous.
Absolutely out of this world. This one is, we can't, when I first tasted it, I thought, this has got to be crazy. This is not dairy. It is so good. So everybody who has tasted it, this recipe is a winner. And all it takes is 2 cups of almonds. It takes about the juice of about 4 limes to do it, 3.5 to 4 limes. If you get juicy limes, maybe even 2.5 limes. And 2.5 teaspoons of salt. Done. Nothing could be simpler.
I tried it, it was really good.
Oh man, so good. So I recommend almond ricotta to you, and we're going to have some with some bread, and we will let you know.
And we have some sauce to it.
So this was the bread that
So you slice it for them to see now.
So you're gonna slice. So you have to have your bread knife.
Put it on the table. Put some on the table.
So we're going to slice our bread. It's always going to blender.
ever have to do something like that?
half on it.
You ever have to edit something like this?
When you do something, you have lots of cooking.
So let us see what our bread looks like after having spent 40 minutes in the oven. And see how nice and brown it gets, and I like the end.
Whoa.
Ain't that
Wow.
pretty cool?
Yes.
So this is no flour.
No flour, just red lentils. And psyllium, which is good for your gut. Gives you some good bowel movements. Chia. And sesame seeds. Fantastic.
How does it taste?
Can't wait to try it.
Well, we're going to find out now. And it's, by the way, it's crunchy, yeah, but it's also soft.
Quickly on the waiting.
Like, is it real? Is this for real? Is this thing? Yep. So this made the difference for my patient who could not eat bread any longer and who couldn't eat rice, and she can't have any carbs at all, at least not for now.
At least they could still enjoy.
So we made this, and she has been making the bread, and it's good.
So we have to plate it.
Oh yes.
Can't wait to show this to people, huh?
Yeah, but we like the ends.
And you put the ricotta with the sauce.
And we have our knife to cut into the ricotta. Let me just get another knife. It's really quite amazing how simple food can taste so good. Let's give it a try.
Ooh, it's slices.
It slices. Very nicely.
You put the egg next to it.
Oh my goodness. We certainly can.
You can put the egg next to it.
We can. We certainly can. So we have our almond ricotta, and listen, that sauce is the bomb.
And then you have
So
the
we have the
sauce.
tofu, eggs, almond ricotta, these bread.
Unbelievable. And we have a spoon. So we are going to have a wonderful time. This is two become one. Now, how you serve your sauce, don't?
Yes, you can just put it on the sauce. Anything.
I'm going to put it aside, so we can decide what we want to do with it. Okay, brothers and sisters, this is a rubber. What do you think?
We have these. We have the
And this is our dal, rice, and bhaji.
we have lunch and we have breakfast.
And actually, we're going to have our salad with it, our lettuce, but we're not going to have avocados because it's a fruit. So
Put my lettuce
You
on.
could have the avocados with the
you
breakfast.
can have the avocados, but that will be too much. Remember, we don't want to add too many combinations because the tummy is going to start protesting. So if you notice, this is like 4 combinations. This is a lot of stuff, but this is beans and your some green bananas and almonds. So this is your nuts, and so this is a very, very high protein meal.
Yep.
Low carbohydrate, high protein, and high delicious. So we praise God for all His bounties to us all. Signing out from HMEC International.
Until next time, brethren. We'll be back with new recipes.
Yes, happy cooking, happy eating, happier eating.
Enjoy.